In this episode of Making It with Chris G, I'm talking to Christine Cameron, a TV show host and professor of artist and product management at Full Sail University in their entertainment master's program. We're going to be talking about creating unique products and experiences for your fans, marketing, artist management, getting into TV production, and much, much more. This is episode 2 of Making It with Chris G, where we have conversations with people in the world of entertainment who are making it from behind the scenes to the spotlight, sharing their stories and insights to help you get one step closer to making it. All right, Christine, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Chris. Nice to be here.
Yeah, so we met, a few weeks ago when I was taking one of your classes at Full Sail. And when we met in person, we had a conversation about just meeting and talking about our backgrounds and histories, and I loved the conversation we're having just about like management and promoting products and about the industry. And I was like, man, just the conversation we had would have been a cool podcast. So I'm excited to have you here and talk a little bit.
Well, thank you. Nice to be here. It was a great conversation that just went kind of all over the place, but it's how the industry works. So yeah. It was perfect, I thought.
Yeah, I think so too. We're all over the place all the time. I want to start going a little bit through your journey. Well, before we get there, I guess so people get to know a little more about you. Like, what are you currently doing, and what are you involved in currently?
Well, currently, my main focus is teaching at Full Sail, at Full Sail University. For those out there who don't know, I teach in the Master's Business Program, Entertainment Business, and I teach Product and Artist Management. And I've been at Full Sail for about a year teaching this, and it's been fun. It's been a blast, but it's been a whirlwind because Full Sail time frame is not like anyone else's. Yeah. So that has really taken the focus of my attention. Sometimes every so often I'll do an appearance on TV, but I really haven't done that much in the last year, given that my focus has been here with Full Sail. So really I'm at that one of those stages where I'm looking at what's next. Do I do more TV? Do I do more content creation? I love to create content. Of course, who doesn't? If you're creative, that's kind of what you do.
Sure, yeah.
So right now I'm focusing on the teaching aspect, and every so often I get pulled in by, and this makes sense to listeners later when we get further into the interview, I think, but I certainly get pulled in by a lot of businesses and retailers to help them figure out how to create better content for their target markets. So every so often I'll get that phone call. So it's a little bit of extra work here and there, but it's not as exciting or cool as TV. Right. but it pays money.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. What kind of TV stuff are you still doing these days?
Well, the TV stuff that I have done in the past for everyone is teleshopping based, and so I grew up in the industry, if you will, doing teleshopping. And in that process, I became a jewelry expert, and to that end, very high-end jewelry and sell high-end jewelry. So that was my niche. So every so often, I'll get a call to come in and do another jewelry show for the most part. I've done other things too, but that seems to be my specialty and my niche. Okay.
What inspired you? What kind of sparked your interest in getting into the entertainment world in this industry?
You know, what's funny is I grew up around it, kind of. I have family that were either dabbling in it or kind of around. Well, they were all actually very much into. I have family that were doing things, so I guess I had that creative blood and just didn't realize it. So my entree was never really fully planned, like, I'm going to go be in entertainment. In fact, it wasn't even on my radar. I fell into it. And maybe that's by design that I fell into it because it seemed natural. Right. But I was, like a lot of people in my age, you were told to go to college and get your normal degree. So I did. And then I got my normal degree and got my normal job. So I did. And about 5, 7, 8 years into it, I realized how bored I was. Right. And so I was at an opportunity for a career change, life change, everything was different. So I did it the old-fashioned way. I was looking for a job back in the day when we had printed newspapers and we would read the want ads, and I was going through the want ads and happened to see want ads used to be about 4 to 5 lines big, if you will. And if anybody could see my fingers, I'm holding up about 1.5 inches of a square block. And the one want ad that caught my eye was only 1.5 lines, so it was literally a couple centimeters wide, and it was looking for, I can't even remember how they phrased it, but it was a simple one-liner that basically said looking for on-air talent for a TV show and a phone number. Huh. And I literally circled it and thought, I can try that. And that's what I did. So long story short, that was a one ad for Teleshopping Network to sell jewelry on TV. Okay. And that's how I fell into it. Okay. And where was this, and what city were you in? That was in Atlanta, believe it or not. Okay. There's a lot of TV in Atlanta, a lot of film in Atlanta, and that also was in Atlanta. So that's where I was. Oh, cool. Mm-hmm. And you went to school in Atlanta, so I didn't notice you
got a double major in German and Russian.
Yes, I did.
Do you still speak the languages?
Nur ein bisschen auf Deutsch, and then a little bit of Russian too, немножко.
Okay. Did we talk about this last time? Because when I saw it, I was like, I don't know if you knew it. I'm from Germany.
We did mention that, but we didn't go into the language side of it too much.
Okay. Yeah. That was interesting when I saw it. I was like, interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, because I spent part of my high school years in Germany as an exchange student.
Oh, cool. Where in Germany?
In the north, in a town called Oldenburg, near Hamburg, Bremen, that whole northern area, up in Oldenburg.
I love Hamburg. Kind of reminds me of New Orleans a little bit. It's like the German version of it.
It is, but a little bit colder, I'd say.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
A little more
colder,
gray.
misty, gray. Yeah, exactly.
No humidity.
Right. True.
What was your first job out of college?
My first job out of college, I have to think back on that. My first major job. I was working in a typical corporate environment in Atlanta. Atlanta is headquarters for a lot of companies around the world. And I took a job as an assistant to an executive. So I guess in today's world it would be executive assistant, but I wasn't the secretary. I literally was the right-hand person to pretty much all kinds of operational procedures for a security company.
Okay.
So I actually was tasked with immediately with running the P&Ls and the all kinds of the accounts receivable, accounts payable, a lot of those kinds of administrative duties, along with overseeing P&L and working with HR. So I really got branch management out of it, and spent many years doing that, and then traveled the country doing that as well, because the company was growing, so we were establishing new branches all over. Then it went global, and we did that globally too.
Oh wow, interesting. Yeah. And then so you went from that, from security to being a TV personality on selling jewelry. How because students that we see every day, like they're always trying to figure out how to get their start in the industry. So kind of you didn't have a resume in that field.
Heck
so
no.
What was it that made you stand out and help you get that first job?
You know, what really mattered to that particular network and what they were looking for, and they've told me since I was hired, the reason I was really considered, there were several reasons. First of all, and I'll tell anyone out there listening, it doesn't matter what job in the industry you're applying for. The executives are looking for someone who is holistic, meaning what else can they do? And I teach this in my class. What else can you do? Very rarely, at least in my experience, whether it's TV, radio, music, or anything else out there, do people hire you expecting that's the only thing you will do.
Right.
So I was told some of the reasons why I was hired was the main reason. I actually talked to my general manager from that TV network not too long ago, and he's at another network, and we were chatting about stuff, and he, I thought he would say, yes, I had good sales, and I had good, I had good credentials at the time, but he said, no, the main reason we hired you is because you were a hard worker. That was it. Yeah. And you were willing to do whatever it took, roll up the sleeves, whatever it meant. And literally, even in TV, if you're I don't know a lot about audio production and wiring, but if I need to roll up my sleeves and get on the set floor and help fix something, you do. Right. And help set up the set, you do. I mean, you do whatever you need to do to make the show go on. So he told me that part of the reason that they hired me was because I was an industrious worker, had great credentials on my resume, and they were looking for someone who could sell. Right. Not someone who could just stand there and look pretty and talk about jewelry, because any dime a dozen young lady can probably do that. Right. But they wanted someone who actually had sales techniques in their background and would know how to close the deal. So they were looking for someone who really knew what they were doing in a traditional sense, but could do it through a camera as well.
Yeah. So like two really good messages there. So like one is the hard work thing. I mean, having a good work ethic is priceless. And just because you don't have the job that's your dream job right now, I mean, that the job you're at, like work your butt off. Like, I mean, if you can show on a resume that you've gotten promotions and you've gotten awards or bonuses or hit sales projections, I mean, people are going to notice that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. The is wherever you are in life, even if it's not where you ultimately want to be, do the best with what you have and what you can do, because that's what shines on a resume. And you never know what people are going to pick up on. Like when I went in there, I just figured it was because I could hopefully talk fairly well and sell a piece. But they were looking at other things as well. And quite frankly, in television, teleshopping is 24/7. Right. Could I be there at 3 a.m. for literally the curtain call, if you will, to go on air? Could I be there at 5 a.m.? Would I stay till 2 a.m.? All those other things that come into it as well. And would I be as energetic at those hours as I would be at 3 in the afternoon?
So all that stuff's live? Like it's not
non-stop live. You talk about live event production 24/7, 365.
Wow, that's impressive.
And it literally rolls show to show to show, nonstop.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work.
These are major studio setups.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other takeaway you had in there is like from that other job, like the experience that you got. The example I always use, my fiance, she works in merchandising, and I always say when it comes to an artist that I work with, so when we get into the product management, I would rather talk to someone that has merchandising experience in a store versus someone that just sits in front of a laptop all day, because she knows what customers are buying. Like, she knows their purchasing behaviors. She knows where to set things up in the store that's going to increase sales. So there's so much value. Like, people just have to like see the value in those other jobs that they have that could gain them experience that people in the entertainment industry would value.
True, and you're exactly correct. At least in my niche of the industry, it's been whoever is in front of the customer, and the ones who are in front of the customer typically know what the customers want and like. And so whether that's in, like with your fiance in the store setup, or in my case, a virtual store on TV, because I was front facing to the customers, because we had live call center, so they could call in and chat. Right. But chatting was done a little bit differently. It was routed through other people, but they could still come in and chat with us as needed. So we'd have immediate feedback, and we actually had a lot of latitude at my networks to actually choose merchandise on the fly, which some of the larger ones like QVC and HSN are pre-programmed. You will show what they plan to show, but they have a formula and it works for them. Right. The other networks I've been on, they really wanted someone who could read an audience, especially through a camera and by phone calls coming in, even at 3 and 4 a.m. when you think no one's watching, someone's watching. Even if they are insomniacs, someone is watching, and you have to figure out what it is they're going to buy at that hour. So we had a lot of latitude to figure it out literally on the fly, which other people don't. So my particular networks were looking for certain characteristics in how you read an audience, even though they're not in the room with you. Right. Which it's a challenge. There are different ways, tricks and techniques to do that.
Is there different techniques you guys used at different times, like whether like the midnight hours, was there a different approach to like the daytime hours?
Well, you learn it as you go, but once you know it, then you kind of have a sense of who's watching. And that's, again, to some of the points I teach in class, knowing who your target audience is in TV and radio and other 24-hour entertainment venues. You know who's with you at certain hours. If you don't, you do a lot to your question, tricks and techniques. What I called fishing. And in my world, I'd have products. So I could literally put different products up on air and try to see which one is going to get those phones ringing, who's going to call in and buy something. And a lot of times it had to do with price point. For example, at 6 a.m., people are not spending $50,000 on a piece of jewelry. Right. But $500, sure, no problem. Yeah. So sometimes you can do it. You can break it down by price point. So, and I'll tell you on Sundays, and I hope if I have any fans out there of jewelry shopping on TV, Sunday is the time to put what I thought was the ugliest stuff ever up on air, because people on Sunday like weird stuff. So you just learn kind of who's watching at what hours, and the tricks as you want to know. It's literally fishing. You'll go through a dry spell, and I would literally put up a product, pitch it, hopefully try to sell it, see if I could get anything going. If not, I'd quickly turn around and come up with something else on the opposite side of things, trying to fish for people. And you just try to fish. And there are some techniques to it based on price, based on product, based on a lot of other factors. But you just kind of play with it. But you can't go long without making a sale, because if you're spending $10,000 an hour just to be for airtime, or $15,000 an hour, that's expensive per minute.
Sure, yeah.
And that's considered profit. I need to make that in the cost of the jewelry plus profit.
Right. Wow.
Yeah, that's pressure.
That is a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to someone that's interested in TV? And I guess there could be two different audiences. Like, what advice would you give to someone that's just coming out of college? And then what advice would you give to maybe an artist or an athlete that has a long career in doing what they're good at, but eventually there's a decline in their career, and they need to figure out, like, what next? Like, what do I do next? And like, what could someone do to set themselves up for success in that world?
And for leaving the entertainment industry, you mean? Or?
Yeah, or for going from transitioning either from a career into TV, or even for a student that's interested in being on TV.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the exit strategy. So we're talking about
so I guess
entrance.
Like two questions. So,
So how did they come into the industry?
Yeah.
Really, it's going to be that combination of opportunity and luck, and I hate to say it that way, but it is. I happen to see an ad and circle an ad and answer. If everybody sees an ad and goes, oh yeah, but a million other people are applying, and they don't apply themselves, well, you give your opportunity away. There are places online where you can go find job listings, and quite frankly, even if it's not your ultimate dream job, do whatever it takes to get that door open to you.
Right.
And even though, for example, I teach at the master's level, I have master's students who are going to graduate with master's degrees, which in the old-fashioned sense of the word, ooh, I've got a master's degree, I should have the corner office and the six-figure paycheck.
Right.
In this industry, it doesn't matter.
Right.
All they want to know is someone who's going to work hard, wear multiple hats on the project. So what you need to do, even with your master's degree or no degree, is get in the door. And after you get in the door, it's all about the experience and your willingness with the right attitude to help make the project a success. So what I would say is find whatever openings you can. I'm not a big fan, I hate to say this out there, of internships. Not my favorite thing, because I did it without one internship ever. But, from an executive's perspective, internships, yes, they can help some students, people wanting to get to know people, and it's great. But I also see it from a business perspective if it's taking advantage of people who are willing to work without money. And I don't like that.
Right.
So if you get a paid internship, that's much better.
Hopefully none of my interns are listening.
Sorry. But you know what? It's a way to get in the door today. And a lot of people require internships. I've always believed, and if I'm going to work as hard as I do, given my credentials and hopefully my success, and I have a track record of success, you're going to pay me for this.
Right. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Totally agree.
Yeah. Interns work hard.
Yeah, work really hard. So you have a ton of experience in promoting and selling products. In our class, we had to design a product for a talent management client, whether it's an artist, an athlete, whatever it is. When it comes to product sales, how can an artist, athlete, or a talent differentiate themselves from the competition? What makes a product unique and stand out?
Oh, that's a great question. It really has to come back to something that hopefully resonated through the project I gave my students, which is you must design a product, but it cannot be a t-shirt, a hat, or a hoodie, because everybody has those. And to that point, make those because you need the basic staples. But what I really am challenging everyone to do is to come up with what's next. What else really engages the audience? And it's all about lifestyle or experience. And those are the two other key points I try to drive home. If you can, as you're building, use those products to build your brand. And the only way you build your brand is if you do something unique and different. So if your graphics are cool and wonderful, fantastic. If in your case you have a singer-songwriter who has a certain song that the fans gravitate towards, make something that resonates with that song. If it's their anthem or their theme, then build around that because that reflects their brand.
Right.
So whatever you do something that gives your audience, your fans, something that gives them a piece of you with your brand and your lifestyle, but even better, an experience of you. So even if that's inviting someone into a production studio to watch a live filming or a live taping of you as a celebrity, fantastic. And they'll pay for it.
Oh, yeah.
They'll pay well for it. So give them a piece of you in a special, unique way, almost a VIP exclusive. That really sells big time.
Yeah. What makes people want to purchase a product? It's kind of similar question, but a little different. More like what makes a person, I guess what psychologically makes someone actually want to buy something from your experience?
Well, into the question I was just asked, in that experience, it's all about having that personal experience with whatever it is you're loving. And it can be a celebrity or talent, as you put it, an athlete, so that you have some, almost like being a special VIP member of a fan club.
Right.
This is what we got because I like them better than everybody else likes them. But as far as if you create anything else, let's say you're creating just a plain old everyday product, whether it's, soap or clothing or anything else, you have to make sure that product enhances your target audience's lifestyle. Does it make them feel special? Is it wholly organic? Is it all natural? Does it represent what you represent as your persona? And so if you can tie it back to who you are and it's special and unique, we're going big time into lifestyle experience and exclusivity. If you can combine that, you've got it. And they will want it just because it's exclusive and different and wonderful.
Yeah.
And you get them excited.
Yeah.
That's the sales pitch part of it.
What are common mistakes someone makes when creating and promoting their products?
I'd say the biggest one, at least among my students that I've noticed, is that there's this misconception out there that if I put it online, anywhere, you name the spot, it doesn't matter where you put it, they will come. They will see it. And the truth is, no, they won't. Yeah. They won't have a clue you've put it online. It's all about marketing today. The old-fashioned broadcast advertising, even as the industry experts have said, traditional advertising broadcast style is dying.
Yeah.
And so everything has become niche marketing. So instead of advertising, we niche market. So the misconception is I'm going to put it on Amazon, or I'm going to put it up on some website, Spotify and SoundCloud, and everybody's going to know. No, they're not.
Yeah.
You, along with the other million that just posted something. I look at the internet as a great opportunity, but I also look at it as a hazard in that to me, it's the world's largest mall. And quite frankly, if you're the newest store in the mall, how do you get anyone to walk to the very far end, dark corner of that mall and even find you, much less know you exist?
Right.
So now you're back to all that marketing.
Yeah, there's a lot of noise on the internet.
Oh, it is. And everybody's going to go to what they know already. If they like to shop on Amazon, they're going to shop on Amazon. So, and even there, how do they find you? So you've got to get through the clutter, and that's through fantastic marketing. And the only way you do it is through knowing exactly who your target audience is, and that you're appealing to them with whatever you're offering, and make sure they know about it. That's back to marketing.
Yeah. What are some unconventional or guerrilla marketing ways that you feel or you've seen that are effective in promoting a product and make people aware of it?
Well, if I can tie it back to the entertainment industry, because there's all kinds of guerrilla marketing techniques for retailers, and they'll use everything they can. Right now, it's the big way of doing it is interactive gaming. So, by the way, for anybody who wants to create a widget and sell a thing, putting it through an app process, especially for a younger audience, you give it the in-app purchasing is growing, and the best way to get people of that age group interested in what you're offering is to do an interactive app game with your brand. So, for example, I was just reading either yesterday or the day before a luxury newsletter about, I think it's Gucci. One of the brands has now created a Gucci handbag game for an app. Just to engage the audience.
Interesting.
So it's getting harder and more expensive, but that's how we have to keep their attention. And that's already Gucci. They've been around for however long, and people buy their products, but not the young ones.
Right. Yeah.
So
it's interesting because at first the internet kind of made it easier to promote and market, but then everybody started getting on the internet, and now it's getting more expensive again to stand out.
It is, and I've seen some studies that show that for everything from social media on, that over 85% of any content online will have to be video in the next year or two, and that's why a lot of retailers, which makes my background kind of unique, because I can blend retail with entertainment, is that people who want to sell anything actually have to understand that retailers have to know that it's engaging an audience just like entertainers do it. And now that we have this thing called the internet, okay, so you put your words online. It doesn't matter. If you don't have cool video, cool apps, and cool interactive games, which now is all the entertainment world, because we need background music to go with that,
right,
and good videography, right, then we can't sell anything anymore.
Yeah. It's interesting because I always say, maybe in the 80s or 90s, your marketing department was usually mostly one person, your marketing director, and now I envision for a company like your marketing department being gigantic. I mean, you need a social media person, you need a video person, you need a photographer, you need someone to edit all this stuff, you need a creative person to come up with storylines, game,
and a campaign director and all of that. And I think, now don't quote me anybody on this, but the last I heard this was a couple of years ago, and it was for ESPN, and ESPN, at last count that I heard, had over 30 plus people in their social media marketing department alone. Wow. That's a lot. Yeah. Because you got to break it down even more. Who's monitoring Instagram? Who's monitoring Pinterest? Who's monitoring, on and on and on.
You have one expert for each platform.
Pretty much.
Wow.
That's a lot of content.
That is a lot of content.
Yeah.
It's so time consuming to keep track of all that stuff, but it's so important to be on all the platforms and at least get those extra impressions and distribution and make people aware of your product.
You have to, because now we're so niched in where we engage with our favorite brands and our whatever we do. Some people are on apps doing it, some people are still online doing it, but we're all in different areas. But we all want whatever it is, so wherever we like to spend our time, we hope they're there with us too.
Yeah.
So they have to be.
With the gaming thing, with the big Pokemon Go craze, how big of an impact do you feel augmented reality and virtual reality will have in marketing in the next 5 to 10 years?
Huge. Pokemon Go has kind of opened the door for that in a lot of ways, at least as far as I can foresee the future, in that a lot of those who wanted to, a lot of companies have decided to become, I don't even play the game, but I understand that you can put up a lure or something, and they bought the lure so people will come to their place and play the game. And it's a smart technique. Now, how long this is going to, in my vision, it's a craze. So once it starts to wane, the Pokemon, excitement kind of wanes, because it will. What else is next? But we've kind of opened that door to, it's that interactive gaming is a way to get people in, especially the young people. So it's really going to, again, go back to who your niche market is. If you're going for young people, you've got to have the technology and the entertainment behind it. If you're going for the older demographic, well, they're still analog. That's cool.
Yeah.
But it costs a lot of money to reach them in the old-fashioned print and billboard and other ways, too.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I think I answered that question. I might have gone off track.
Yeah. Okay, if you were working with an artist or a talent, are you familiar with the Kevin Kelly 1,000 True Fans theory?
So
he has this theory about building, so everyone's so focused on the millions, having millions of followers, millions of plays, selling out arenas, selling out stadiums, where really you can make a living in the entertainment world if you focus on getting one new fan a day or one new fan at a time.
Totally agree. I teach that.
Yeah. To get to 1,000 true fans, and if you have 1,000 true loyal fans that are willing to spend $100 a year, or
that's all you need, right?
Yeah. You have a base.
Right.
So what could someone do to start focusing on just that one fan at a time? What advice would you give to an artist or a talent?
Well, it goes back to carving the niche, and I'm going to assume that artist or talent already has somebody who's buying at least one song, one download, one book, one anything. Start with them and figure out, okay, what age are they? What social media are they using? And then let me go to them, because if they like it, some of their friends will like it. So I need to at least reinforce, and assuming it's only one, which hopefully it's a lot more than that.
Right.
But if it's only one, you can say, hey, I know this person uses, let's say it's a Snapchat. And then we're going to start focusing on Snapchat, because they'll easily be able to, with the one click of a button, send, hey, this is the new book I read, send it to their friends. So you need to capture the audience, even if it's the one, where they are. So, and you should know where they are. That should be pretty easy to figure out, and build from that point, because that one will share with a friend. So now you've got two. Those two come four become eight, and that's how it works. It may take time, but it'll take the initial startup from 0 to 10 is the hardest part. Once you get to 10, it starts to escalate. So be patient with yourself, but be very purposeful and say, hey, if this person's on Facebook, I'm going to Facebook.
Right.
Just start where they are.
Yeah. I like how you said focus on getting the 10 first, or even the 20. Because if you can't get 20 people to support what you're doing, maybe you're not doing the right thing, or you're doing it wrong.
Right, exactly. And for the most part, you can sell almost anything to anybody, having done it. My hand's up. You can't see that, but my hand's up. Having done it, you can. Stuff I thought no one would ever buy, they bought. So just knowing how to target the ones who like what you have to offer is critical. And that's it's marketing, and it's not going to be easy in the beginning. And by the way, anyone listening who has never had a marketing class, find a marketing class, read a marketing book. You can do it without spending a lot of money, but you have to understand that is where we are going. And in order to talk to an audience, it's marketing. That's what we call it.
So speaking of marketing, so if someone doesn't have a lot of experience in marketing, because we're talking about target audience, how does someone figure out what their target audience is?
Well, there's all kinds of analytics. If you are online in the digital realm at all, you've got access to analytics. And so if you've posted an ad, let's say through Facebook using their ad platform, you can just read their analytics and they'll tell you exactly who bought your thing, whatever it is. Vice versa, if you use Google Analytics, you can actually put Google Analytics, I think, for free on pretty much any website. So even if you have only a blog and you're promoting your project through your blog, you can embed Google Analytics into your blog and then promote that a little bit, and then over the next week or two or month or whatever, go back in and read the analytics, and they'll tell you who bought from where. They'll tell you what countries came in. You'll really start to be able to narrow it down from there. But that's where you start, and that's literally just step one.
Right. So how to break that down even further, there's a lot of artists when they're starting out, if they look at their analytics who bought their album, it's probably their family and their close friends.
Okay, you skip them.
Skip them.
That doesn't count.
So who's buying next?
Exactly.
So how do you get that next person to buy that first track that's a complete stranger?
Again, it's through promotions, and if you use any of the, as far as I'm aware, and you might know this obviously a lot better than I would, but if you use SoundCloud and Spotify and something like that, they have the analytics built in. So hopefully if you have nothing and nothing is happening, you have got to promote your music, if you will, via whatever means you can. Just open a Twitter account and just blast it out there. And then once you start getting some feedback from that Twitter account, hopefully, then you can go, okay, you know what? People in New York really seem to like this. Well, let me focus now in on New York. But you can't again, it's that idea that I'm going to create something and put it up and someone's going to find it. No, they're not. Yeah. So that might be part one. Part two is you've got to talk to somebody.
Yeah. Engagement is so important.
And you have to do your best guess. If you make a certain genre of music and let's say it's more of an urban sound, start targeting an urban audience. If you make something that's more of a country sound, go towards the Midwest or Nashville, or you've got to at least have, if you don't have a gut instinct of who is going to want what you're creating, I would advise you to sit back and before you keep creating, breathe, zen for a moment, and imagine who wants this. You have to figure out who's going to want what you're offering.
Yeah. What's the best way, once you figure it out, what's the best way to engage a stranger and get them interested in your product and get a conversation started?
Nowadays, it's via social media. It's via those platforms, and you may not have the money to build an app or go as far as creating a game right now, but you can certainly engage them via Twitter. You can certainly engage them via Snapchat. You might post via Periscope. If you're recording a session, have it live. And so give them some other content to view so they can see you as a real person, and watch the behind the scenes. They love the behind the scenes. Totally agree. I mean, you just have to. You can't create and post and hope someone finds you. You're not getting it.
And you can't be antisocial in today's world. You gotta.
No. And if you are an artist who's more antisocial, get someone on your team who doesn't mind speaking for you.
Yeah. I mean, if you can be, I guess, not a people person, right? Some people just aren't people person, but then you have to realize that and get someone to be like a champion that you trust and will sell you out there and will network with people for you.
Exactly. So just look at yourself honestly and realize, you're extremely creative, but you're, more of a private person in that realm. Then find someone like you say that you can trust to go and do the other side of it for you. Because realize none of us is perfect or whole by ourselves, and usually it takes a team of people to achieve whatever it is we're trying to achieve. So know that if you are the creative and you like to be alone in your world while you do that, you've got to have someone else on your team on your side. Yeah,
absolutely. How do you go about trying to find those people to be part of your team?
Avoid family. Not to be rude, avoid family. Family sometimes works out and sometimes it doesn't. When it works out, it's wonderful. When it doesn't, it's tragic. So you have to judge all the players, at that point. Family usually have such vested interest that it can be overbearing. So I'd look for a good friend or even someone, a schoolmate, who's really good at social media, maybe the chatterbox in class, that happens to have some ability to meet a stranger, or never meets a stranger. They talk to everybody. Get that person on your side, and even if you're awfully shy about asking, if you don't come out of that shy box, you won't go forward in today's world. It's all about everybody sharing their stories and talking to each other. So you've got to learn that even if you're not comfortable, find someone who would do it on your behalf. And it might be a good friend at school.
Yeah. So going back to your career, how many years did you spend in TV? And
at this point, off and on, and throughout the decades, I'm at 15-ish maybe now.
Okay.
Yeah.
And was there a time, because I know we talked about as fun and as exciting as the entertainment world is, it is always a grind and not a lot of time with family and at home. When did you decide to go more into the behind the scenes world and on-air personality world?
I was behind the scenes as well as on air, so I still. Right now I'm more on air than I was behind the scenes, because behind the scenes it's just, once you step out of that, it's hard to get back where you were. But I chose when I was burned out.
Okay.
That was it. I literally worked from day one till the burnout moment, if you will, which was 10 plus years, which I think is pretty good actually. I'm not kidding when I say it's 80 plus hours a week.
Wow.
And it was, the way we did it was, for some, exciting and exhilarating, and at first it was, and then for others it becomes grueling and torturous by the end. But we were doing live shows, and you think of radio talent, radio DJs might do a 3-hour show with commercial breaks and a couple other DJs to fill in color commentary. Mm-hmm. We did 5 to 8 hour shows, no commercial break, nonstop talking. And we did them about 5 days a week to 6. Wow. At all hours of the day. I could be called at prime time. I could be called in the middle of the night. I could be called first thing in the morning. So I never had a regular routine. I never had normal sleep at all. And I was expected to be on point and go for about 7 hours without a break.
Wow.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot for anyone.
Yeah.
And then when did you go into teaching?
Okay, so I
did you go from that world into teaching, or did you?
No. In fact, I never. Again, yet I never found myself and visualized myself in TV. Well, I never visualized myself in teaching either. So I kind of just best laid plans. What can I say? But to that point, I actually got out of TV at an opportunity when I had another job offer. I didn't leave with nothing. I had a job offer I was commuting from LA to the Virgin Islands. So when I had an opportunity to go LA traffic, Virgin Islands, Caribbean. LA traffic, Virgin Islands, Caribbean. I chose Caribbean.
Right.
And that was 10 plus years in, and I was tired and ready for the slower pace. And then I would fly from the Virgin Islands back to LA and get into that LA traffic and wonder, why am I here?
So you were living in the Virgin Islands and working in LA?
I did, because I was at that time, I had gone from full-time TV to gig by gig, as requested. I'd make appearances. But at the time, I went to the Virgin Islands, and I had a full-time job offer to run an international business and help with their sales and marketing. And basically, I was their senior vice president of sales and marketing. Mm-hmm. But I said I'd only take that position if I were allowed every so often to do TV appearances, because I would still get calls. Mm-hmm. And I did, but my commute was the Virgin Islands to LA, and that's a long commute.
Yeah.
That's a real long commute. So after a few times of that, I thought, why am I even flying to LA? I love my lifestyle in the Virgin Islands. So I weighed them out, and I said, I'm tired of TV. I'm tired of these hours. I'm tired of the rigor. I am making great money and with a great position living in the Caribbean. Why TV? So I switched completely over. And I did that for a few years, and then found myself after that short story to Vegas. And while in Vegas, I had another lull in my career, and I thought, you know what? Let me just see what's going on around here. And I had some media content creation I was developing, and I ended up getting my master's degree at that point because I had some downtime. And that's when I decided, you know what, there's a school in Vegas that does things similar to Full Sail, and I could do that while I do these other things, other projects I'm working on. And I became an adjunct instructor, which is basically part-time. Mm-hmm. And I taught them marketing and advertising and PR and everything crazy about the entertainment industry. And that kind of led me into teaching. But that was only part-time for a few years.
Right. What made you leave the Virgin Islands to go back to Vegas?
Actually, it was the economy. Everything was going well, but it was right before that 2007, 2008 drop that really pretty much kicked everybody. Mm-hmm. And it happened in the islands first. You could see the trickle effect for people weren't traveling and weren't doing all of that. And the signs were there. And at that time, my husband had a job opportunity, and we said, we love living in the islands, but the mainland might offer some more stability. Mm-hmm. And I'll take us to Vegas. And I said, sure. And I gave him 1 year, and 8 years later we left. So that's life.
Yeah, right.
But I actually had jobs that I was working for in Southern California while I was there, and in Vegas. And so, yeah, you have to be near the people.
So you went right back into the craziness and the madness from living on the island.
I did, but more behind the scenes. I actually spent more of my time in consulting and advising in media content, because I did do some appearances still, but I didn't have that same drive to do those hours. So I was able to sort of pick and choose and develop my skills, always developing new skills, develop my skills more behind the scenes with content development. And I ended up doing a lot of work in that area. Mm-hmm.
So with the teaching, I've noticed you invest a lot of time in again, the whole hard work thing into your class. And there's a lot of great information that you've taught about product management, artist management, and you can tell you're passionate about it. It's what is that it's your favorite part about teaching and giving back?
Well, the teaching side of it was what actually kind of lured me to Full Sail. It's all about giving back for me, and it's my way of helping others, at least from my perspective, and I hope it's true, give others the reality of the situation and understand that you can make it whatever you want to make it, but you have to navigate it, and you have to have that entrepreneurial spirit, and you have to stab at it, and you have to work 80 hours a week. And if you still are doing all of that and loving what you're doing, then you're going in the right direction. Those breaks will happen for you. You will have, bad breaks. You will fall down on your knees and skin them. That's just part of the industry. You're going to meet some bad people. That's part of the industry. Yeah. But after you've met those bad people, you'll meet good ones too, and you have to learn how to decipher who's the good one and who's the bad one. Right. It happens to the best of us, and keep going. But if you're willing to go on this crazy roller coaster ride of entertainment, you'll get there. Yeah. But you just have to have that bent.
You have to have patience too. I mean, the example I love is the Chicken Soup for the Soul. I mean, it's one of the best-selling book series of all time. And if you read how many times they got rejected, it was 120 times or something like that before they got a yes from a publisher. And easily. I bet you all those other 120 before are kicking themselves now that they didn't publish this book.
True. Oh, absolutely they are. But publishing is a whole different story for a different podcast another time. They have their own kind of the craziness.
About patience.
But patience and persistence that goes with it. But the other side, I will caution people on, that's a great story, but sometimes your content's not good enough. Yeah. And you have to be able to be your own harshest critic without being overboard in that regard. Because one of the best things that I ever worked with a creative, and he was a photographer, he was able to sit down, and he was an artistic photographer. He was able to look at his work and know which ones were really exceptional and which ones were just good. Right. Threw away the good, kept only the exceptional, and that's the difference. And we can all be our worst critics, so beware of going overboard in that realm, but knowing how to step back and go, this is something really unique and different and people would actually pay for, because that's how you survive in the business, then you keep it. And quite frankly, there's a huge difference between, as you've heard in my class, show business and art. Right. And I'm talking about show business. And if I'm talking about show business, that means what's sellable. If you have a passion for art and you want to create art for art's sake, by all means, kudos to you, go do it, but you may never make any money at it. Right. This is show business, whole different story. It's
so tough sometimes too, though, like if you're so emotionally connected to what you've created, because how do you differentiate what's good and what's not if you're one emotionally connected or you're your own worst critic? I always say you should surround yourself with people that you trust and will be honest with you, like not your family that loves everything that you do. Like you gotta have some friends that will just be straightforward and honest with you. Like, no, this sucks. It's not so good.
Exactly. And you need that. And you need to find it somewhere. And hopefully it starts with you, because it's a great training mechanism. Because if you can start differentiating in your own work what really is exceptional and what's not, you'll continue to make exceptional. If you can't differentiate that, you won't make exceptional. You'll make a lot of Yeah. So you need to train it for yourself, but you're right. Then surround yourselves with a few trusted, and again, you can't have too many cooks in the kitchen. Right. So just a couple of trusted people who hopefully maybe are mentors or a little bit ahead of you in the industry, because they can guide you on what's considered exceptional and what's not, or what's sellable and what's not.
Yeah. That's so what we just said, like just a few, because I've also noticed the other problem where artists are almost like they're seeking for a certain kind of approval, and they keep asking more and more people until they get that approval from someone. And it's like, you got to have a few people you trust and can't just.
And I understand that psychology. I'm going to use a word that might offend some, but it's needy. And don't be needy. Yeah. Be confident in what you're creating, but also be confident enough to know that you're going to get rejected and some people aren't going to like it. But the key to developing a niche audience is find those who do.
Yeah. Totally. So tell me about an app that you've recently discovered that you think people should be using.
An app?
Yeah.
I don't use apps.
Or some kind of tool or resource online or platform.
Yeah, that people should be using for what? Oh, okay. I've got a good one.
Okay.
Sort of. The one that right now is my favorite go-to is Gumroad.com.
Gumroad?
Gumroad.com. Because for content creators and developers, if you haven't checked it out, it's just like it sounds, G-U-M, like bubblegum, and road, R-O-A-D.com. They are, to me, fairly new on the scene, but and not really, well, a lot of the students that I introduce them to have not heard of them. But what they do is they allow creatives, to me, the largest ability to create whatever it is, whether it's a painting, a book, or a music, or whatever, TV or webisode, anything you're doing, you can actually put it up there for sale, but with more creative control than any other sales e-commerce platform out there. So for me, if you go to Gumroad.com and let's say you're creating a webisode series and you want people to subscribe, you can actually set up the subscription rate and how often it's done. If you want people to download, for example, if you create a film and you want people to be able to either download the entire film for a fee, $10 or whatever, or you want to allow them to rent it, you can allow them to rent it for $2 or whatever. You cool. Choose the fee and the duration. It will disappear off their computers after 72 hours or a week, or you get to set all of those parameters for your sales. And it also gives you fantastic data and feedback as to who's coming in and buying and purchasing, and you get that information, whereas you oftentimes on Amazon, you won't get any information on who's buying. But Gumroad.com allows you to have full creative control over your creative and sales control and the data and the feedback with a nominal fee. I think it's like $10 a month or plus 30 cents. You can't beat it.
Yeah,
so for a
like
true
really cool
creative, no matter what your type of creative, Gumroad.com. So that's my favorite right now.
Okay, that's a good one.
Yeah.
So I always preached taking care of your health, because like if you're working in an entertainment industry, I mean any industry, like if you're investing a lot of time, like 50, 60, 70 hours a week, you kind of lose track of like taking care of yourself. What do you do to keep yourself healthy and take care of yourself, or what would you recommend someone doing?
That's a good question, and you're right. You can get lost in the creative world and not come out of your basement for a month. So that's true. I actually have always been it's kind of, it sounds like it's I would say oxymoron, but that's the word for creative. Creatives tend to get lost in their creative and they emerge when it's over with, and some do. I've been one who has, I am creative, and sometimes I get, it's goofy, the best ideas when I'm brushing my teeth, so you can't control when it happens. But I always tend to make time for the workout, and that might be part of that TV thing where you have to have a certain appearance for TV too. So I knew as part of the discipline that I will, earlier, when I was more active in TV, I would work out about 3 days a week and about an hour a day, depending on what my preferred exercise was at the time. If I couldn't get to the gym, and for a few years I couldn't because I'd be getting home at 2 and 3 a.m., I'd actually just have a workout room in my house, and I'd have those videos and DVDs, and I'd do whatever, and I was a big fan and bought them, and actually they really work if you do them well.
Oh yeah, they do, yeah.
Yeah, so I would, this was prior to the P90X days, because that's like craziness, but I would do whatever worked out and would work out at home, and even if, like I said, oftentimes it was a middle of the night workout, but I forced myself to do it. Even after being exhausted working all day and being on TV until whatever time, I'd still do the workout. And I'd get at least 2 days in, 3 days optimally. And so it became kind of a habit. So now at Full Sail, I actually have less time than I did in TV land because I'm always commuting. But I still try to give myself at least 2 days a week where I squeeze in an hour.
Yeah. I mean, it's when you just work so many hours and you're tired, like you feel like, oh, I just can't do a workout. But the crazy thing about it is if you focus on your health and fitness, like you actually will feel a lot better going through those 40, 50 hours a weeks if you still add that on top, because it's just everything that happens in your body physiologically. I mean, you just feel better.
To. And it's a way for your body to download. Let your brain go for a while. Stop thinking and creating. Let your brain just absorb whatever the universe has to share with you. So it's almost like a download, and it is. And you feel like a rejuvenated human. Even if you go home and crash in bed when you're done, you're still rejuvenated.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, agreed.
Do you have any type of meditation or yoga practices or daily routines to help you get in a better mental state?
No, and I wish I did. In the past year since starting here, it's been too crazy of a schedule. Believe it or not, this schedule is just crazier than TV schedule. I'm not a good meditator. I wish I were better at it, because if you still yourself, you really do get into a good place, and sometimes the right voices are heard and you get the right ideas. I'm horrible at that. So, I can take your advice on that one. Okay.
Well, an app I love, my favorite app right now is Headspace, which is a real popular app. It's just daily 10-minute meditations. They have so there's a free plug for Headspace. Okay, cool. But I
plugged a few too.
But they have this thing that's I think 10 minutes a day for 10 days. You can try it for free, and it's really cool. It's guided meditation, and you kind of just listen to it, and helps you guide you through. And they talk a lot about when you try to meditate, people think it's okay. I just got to try to keep my mind quiet and try to think about nothing. It seems kind of tough and boring, especially if you're always thinking of new ideas. But they kind of explain how that's okay. Like all the noise that's constantly going through your brain, it's all right for it to be there.
Oh.
And so it's a really cool app. So
Cool.
Headspace.
Do you ever get it to where it's totally quiet?
Not yet.
Okay, good.
I'm always thinking about new ideas and things to do. Okay, well, what is a piece of media that you share the most or give advice? So media that gives advice, motivates, entertains. This can be a book, podcast, video, article, or anything in that.
For the class, you mean?
That you share to most of people when you in your daily life, like that you send people to. You should check this out.
It's probably one that I show in class because, unfortunately, I don't have time to be digging through a lot of that right now. With a different crowd, it's a lot of articles that I'll find about, believe it or not, marketing and retailing and demographics because it's changing so quickly. So on a business-to-business level, that's what I would share. But on more like students and people trying to get involved in the industry, this is going to be a promo for someone else, but I really go to the... If anyone out there has had a chance to go to YouTube and go to YouTube and search MIDEM, MIDEM. That's the main international music conference in the world. It's fantastic. It's all in English. They actually do. There are a lot of great conferences out there that people who are interested in the industry should be attending, and people who are in the industry are attending. Mm-hmm. So if you want to learn from the pros and really see what they do, I highly advise going to these conferences. Some conferences don't put out much content at all, and they keep it pretty exclusive. NAB is one of them, but I love NAB. It's in Vegas every year. It's a great conference. But MIDEM is the International Music Forum, and they are fantastic. So if you want to YouTube search MIDEM, they have fantastic videos. And one of my favorite that they have just released, which was actually from their 2015 conference, has a panel on social commerce. Mm-hmm. And it seems to be the final light bulb going on for my class after we teach everything going through product in creating your content and selling your content and targeting your audience and using social media to do that and all of that. It's usually with this one video, and it's got I'd have to look up the title for you. You may remember it. I know you guys had to watch it, but it was called the social commerce. I'd have to look it up.
I remember it. I have the link. That was a really good
Isn't it?
Conference. Yeah. I'm actually gonna have show notes with the podcast, so
okay.
I'll put that link in the show notes.
Do it, and it's got Ryan Leslie. If anyone's a Ryan Leslie fan, he's the artist on the panel. Then it's got all these heads of music, like from Twitter and Facebook, and Gumroad's founder is on there, and they talk about the next stage of music, but selling content in today's world, and it's incredible advice and how to do it well. Yeah,
you actually introduced me to that conference as well, and they have so many videos on their YouTube channel, and they're all great.
They're brilliant, aren't they? Yeah. I mean, it's the
I want to go to Friends. Thanks.
Yeah. Well, actually, I'm thinking about it next year. So I'm thinking about, can I get to Con? Maybe so, and it's in the spring. Late summer.
Oh, it's soon.
Late spring, early summer, somewhere in there.
Okay. Well, maybe 2018 I'll be going.
Yeah, I'm trying for next year if I can.
Nice.
But I have to get holiday from school, so we'll see.
Hopefully during spring break.
Yeah, hopefully.
What's your definition of making it?
Well, I would say to anyone listening to this that if you are ambitious in life, you're never going to make it. Meaning, once you get wherever you think you want it to be, hopefully you have the next dream to keep you going to the next level. So most of the biggest moguls and entrepreneurs and CEOs and people like that I know have never been satisfied. They keep striving for whatever's next. Mm-hmm. So in that sense, you'll never make it until suddenly you're there, you're retired, and you're on your yacht, and you look around and you go, well, I guess I did, in retrospect. But in the process of making it, and I love the title, so I'm not picking on that. I actually love the title. For making it, it's doing what you love and getting paid for it. Mm-hmm. It is a very hard thing to do. You're going to go through a lot of grunt work to get there, and then it might be so grunt work intensive that it's not what you thought it was going to be. So staying passionate about what you do and earning a living about what you're passionate about, that's probably making it. For me personally, I'm not there yet. I'm still striving.
What is something someone can do today to get one step closer in their journey to making it?
Well, if there's anything that I've said in today's conversation, key in on whatever that was that made a difference to you and go do it. Mm-hmm. That's one of the things new to the class since you were in it that I'm talking about is the execution of the plan. Okay. Most businesses don't fail because of good strategy. They fail because of poor execution. So listening to it, writing it down on paper, having a good 5-year plan on your noteboard in front of you, that's all theory until you actually do it. Be brave enough to do it, and then if you fail or skin your knees or whatever, that's just part of it.
Right.
So just be brave enough to keep doing it.
That's great advice. So, and then on the opposite hand, just because you're focused on making it and setting goals, doesn't mean you're fulfilled. So what do you do to make you feel fulfilled?
That's a great question, and I think it changes as we grow in life, because what used to fulfill us may not fulfill us anymore. So early on in my career, working as hard as I did and being on TV as much as I was and making the money I was and all the things that go with it, that was fulfilling. And then I woke up 10 years later and realized I wasn't getting to any of the Christmases. I was working every Christmas. I was working every Thanksgiving. I wasn't seeing my nieces and nephews grow up. I was missing all the birthdays. And I went, wait a minute, whoa, quality of life.
Yeah.
I have a great career, but I don't have any personal life, really. And I was not married, so because there was no time for all of that. And then I realized there's more to life than just making money and working 80 hours a week, even if it is a cool industry and fun stuff and all that.
Right.
So it was, and I've had a lot of my friends get to that point where we realized how much we were working, but how much we were missing the quality of life to go with it. So fulfillment at this stage is more about work-life balance. And because I've had the luxury of having already achieved, if you're still trying to achieve, do what you need to do. But now that I've been there, done that, what else can I do to enjoy the blue sky and, a rainy afternoon?
Right.
And as dreamy as it sounds, it's a goal and an aspiration to have the work-life balance, because people in my world, which is one of the reasons I'm teaching, are more important than all those achievements. Although I'm still a very dedicated high achiever, I need to have people around me that I can help inspire in a different way, and that's more fulfilling.
Okay, that's really great. All right, then this last one's an easy one. If people want to learn more about you or want to connect with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
That's a great question, and I hide from social media. So, what can I can give them an email address if they want to reach out. Yeah. But and the reason I hide from social media is it's very direct. In the world of TV, we were actually charged with never using our names. We came up with TV names, and part of it was because, at least in my world, we were dealing with such high-end product. And I'm not kidding if I said I sold something wholesale for $50,000 or $100,000 for a single item. So that can be dangerous, very dangerous. We do have fans, we do have stalkers, we do have all that crazy stuff that you hear about with musicians. In our own weird little world, we had it, So we were told never to put our real names out there, and so I don't have that out there.
We'll have an alias email address.
Exactly. And the reason is it's because there's a lot just you can Google anybody nowadays for anything.
Oh, yeah, totally.
And it's not safe.
Yeah, that's why a lot of celebrities have aliases and different names. Yeah, it's important.
So let me work on that, because I don't have any of my current alias contact information up and live. I'll work on that for you. Okay,
sounds great. Awesome. Well, thanks so much. This was awesome. A lot of great information, and had a good time talking to you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it, Chris. And it was wonderful. I hope it matters to you and your audience, and it helps somebody along the way. And it's been fun. So I hope to help.
Well, thanks so much.
Thanks.
So was that fun or what? Only 2 episodes so far with Making It with Chris G, and we dropped endless amounts of knowledge bombs on you already. We had a fantastic guest today with Christine Cameron. I want to thank Christine so much for taking the time. This was such a wonderful interview. I hope everyone here enjoyed it. We're going to have show notes for all these interviews soon on a brand new website, and we should be able to announce that next week. But if you want to follow me on Twitter at Chris Goyzueta, it's ChrisGoyzueta, and we'll get those details to you ASAP when the show notes are ready. Should have them ready, as I said, by next week's episode. Please don't forget to subscribe for free on iTunes. And speaking of iTunes, before we go, I wanted to read one of last week's 5-stars review. So 5-star review of the week. Ta-da! There's a review that I'm reading. If this is from you, please send me an email at chris@onelivemusic, ONELIVE music.org, and we'll get you a little something to show some love for your and appreciation for leaving this 5-star review. This 5-star review is from AMD63964 on iTunes. The subject is The 3 Eyes. This podcast from Chris Goyzueta is inspiring, informative, and impressive. I guess those are the 3 Eyes right there. Whether you're in the music/entertainment industry or not, the content is motivational and makes me want to chase after my dreams. Such a great concept, since everyone has a completely different idea of what making it actually looks like. Keep up with the great work, Chris. Well, thank you so much for leaving this review. That's a great review. The 3 I's. What were they again? Inspiring, informative, and impressive. Thanks so much for that review. So thank you all so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. I hope to see you again next week on Making It with Chris G. And remember, try new things, be good to people, and in the words of one of my all-time favorite artists, Bob Marley, live the life you love.